stuff, like actually scientific stuff. So it's not a, I don't know, man. And I don't want to do the whataboutism because this is how we end up. Well, now y'all killing Joy DeGruy. I don't get it.
Man, it all started
I
off.
don't know
We was
what-
trying to make a distinction between who we felt like was scamming or you know, or who was just flat out pseudo. Everybody else interjected all these extra arguments, which made us expound on some of these things that we still hashing out right now. The simple
Right.
thing, we was going down a list of different people. We weren't supposed to get hung up on one person. It wasn't the thing. But all of a sudden, everybody stuck their chest out for Francis Cress Wilson, and here we are today.
But
It's about the entirety of not just one person.
And the other difference with DeGruy is she didn't present this shit as biology. Like it was historical, it was psychological, but she didn't present it as post-traumatic slave. Now she used syndrome, which is a scary thing, but she doesn't claim that PTSS is about biology. It's history and trauma. So even if you want to debate PTSS, you're not even debating her. You'd have to debate the history and debate the trauma. It's not built on something made up. Melanin theory is made up. White genetic annihilation, made up. It's all made up stuff. This is a doctorate. I don't care if somebody on a Sinetta panel or pseudo killer panel just starts saying stuff. You don't got to listen to them. You can mute them. Like Patah, you can just mute them. I'm saying that when a doctor does it, they have to be held to a different standard. And we're all qualified to hold a doctor to a different standard if you understand like base stuff about science. Because when you go to the hospital and you talk to a doctor that's basing his shit off of previous cases and actual consensus on medicine, you will always treat that person different than the guy that walks up to you when they can't figure out what's wrong with you. And the other guy with the doctor in front of his name says, well, listen, we got this trial. We ain't did no studies, but you the first, and we could use it on you. Now you might die, right? There's no, give or take, and we don't know nothing about it. Do you want to do it? See, some of y'all wouldn't do these things in your real life. See, like you wouldn't teach your kids white people are inherently evil. You'd be screwing them for the rest of their life by just saying all of them are evil. Don't trust none of them. Like that's they just born that way. They just want to kill you. That's all they want to do. You just created a terrorist. But it's okay because I guess he's a black terrorist. I guess it's the people I'm talking to. If this is what y'all believe, that it's okay to just think all white people is evil, and then it's okay for them to somehow take that and say all black people are evil, then have at it. Maybe that's sort of the conversation we having. You don't see nothing wrong with what you said because you actually believe it.
Yeah, I think that's actually happening. Yeah, I do think that they don't see the imbalance of power when it comes to us using racism and them using racism. I don't think that people really get that. And like somewhere, definitely somewhere in this, they would have to at least agree with her method, which is part of what we're trying to like kind of fight back against is her method.
Sirius B said many of those so-called Afrocentric elders put forth work that was politically motivated. Dr. Clark outright admits that he teaches history through a political lens, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. We just need to understand that that was right. And we have no problem with that, Brendan. No problem with that at all. But when you say the word,
I never thought Dr. Clark was scamming or nothing like that. I never felt that way about that. You know what I mean? So if anybody listened to the previous shows, like I think we made the distinctions. But yeah, nobody has an issue with that right there.
So
I think when you said Brandon read that, Brandon wrote that.
Yeah,
he's right. I agree with that.
But here's the thing, Brendan. This is where we differ, and I agree with what you're saying. This ain't where I differ with your statement. This is just why. This is kind of like to help you flesh out my argument. Many of those so-called Afrocentric elders put forth work that was politically motivated. Dr. Clark outright admits that he teaches history through a political lens. Cool. What she did that was different was it was culturally motivated, politically motivated. I would even add racism motivated from the other side, or white supremacy motivated from the other side. But she's pushing it as science, like as if it's like as if this is like if it's correct. And then now you got people throughout the years still pushing this as science to unscientific people. And they actually believe this, like because she was using her credibility as a doctor to do it. And on top of that, here's the danger with even with John Henry Clark. Even if we don't think that he was doing it, and he was pushing forth that as political and cultural, he was pushing melanin theory. He was pushing white genetic annihilation. So it's like there was no hard stance ever taken on her. And then now all we hear is, well, we don't use none of her stuff and we don't do that. Everybody in the world talking about Umar right now. Where did Umar come from? White genetic annihilation, melanin theory, the homosexual destruction of the black race, color conversion. That's his whole MO. And he's now talking to unscientific people in 2025. But the difference between these people is that if they just did a quick search when he said white genetic annihilation, they don't got to see 1,000 things positive about it. They could just see that it's pseudo and incorrect. So at least they can make a proper information. But if they hear it from Umar, they watch his Sinetta, you got people that they respect saying, standing on their shoulders, they never hear that it was wrong or that it was incorrect. Where are you going to go to get the information that it was incorrect? These are unscientific people. These aren't people that they're not saying they don't know any better. They just don't care to know any better. They don't want to be a biologist. They don't want to be a geneticist. That's why I say sometimes in our particular conversations on this channel, while we can get to the source, sometimes I just want to have a real conversation about people. These are raw conversations. Y'all critique us, right? Because y'all are thinking that we done looked up these answers all the time before we spoke. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But this is people's real opinions. This is my opinion. This is like the real world. This is Said's opinion. Sosa, not so much. Sosa has more of a clinical background in this, so it's an informed opinion. These are just our opinions. That's what you're watching this for. You're not watching this for some kind of clarity of Dr. Francis Cress Welsing was terrible. No, unless I say that. So, and serious. Okay, and Brendan agrees. That's the step that goes too far. Well, I wish Patah had some discipline. If Patah had some discipline, we could have a good conversation. He just ain't got no damn discipline.
What kind of opinion do we want to put forth? An informed opinion or an uninformed opinion? Because we can
In a
have an
reality, in a show where we're just giving our opinions, and an opinion.
But
like just your opinion. If you want to do a show where it's scientific literacy and sourced out and cookie cutter reading from a PowerPoint and all of that kind of stuff, then there's shows for that. Shouts to the pseudo killers. I applaud them for that. They give you the actual thing so you can kind of remove the opinion part of it. So where you can just see one thing is this, one thing is that. This is your opinion. This is my opinion. Now this is what science says. That's not what we're doing. That's why I don't mind going to science, but I don't always want to go to science. I want to hear how people feel. Because people in the chat aren't always scientific, bro. They're not. Patah is not scientific. You aren't always scientific. You just told us not even 40 minutes ago, the blacker the skin, the more power they got. I didn't knock you for that. If you actually feel like that, then that's how you feel. I'm not about to be like, go get a source. That don't make sense. You just talking. That's what you feel. That's your opinion.
Delineate the personal opinion from the informed. We have to delineate the personal opinion, the informed opinion, the critique from this. Because when we're talking on these platforms, we want people to understand what we are saying, where we're coming from. So
they can hear what we're saying and do the work too, Joey. They can hear what we're saying, hear what You know, the main issue, Joey, is that it really only be in a room full of 20. This is during the time while people are at work. So it's really just 4 people talking, and you're just hearing their opinions going back and forth. If everybody was talking, then it would be a more informed conversation. So
But I
that's
thought,
the actual issue.
but if you thought people had intelligence and everybody
What?
understood, you thought everyone could
All right, I'm gonna give you my opinion. You need to go to Amazon and
oh God,
and fix your microphone. Why do you sound amazing live, but in the
I have
Discord chat it just sounds terrible?
I have no
And I'm not.
idea.
I'm only half joking, but the fact that we're live, I got to make sure that they hear what you say, or it just sounds like on one of the videos I was just talking back and forth to myself. I sounded absolutely crazy.
I don't know what to do about it. I can't do nothing about it. This is
No, I know. But this is recorded. If we was just in the Discord chat, I could just try to hear you out. But a lot of times, those are the challenges. What's up,
I
Cole?
love the method that you are using. People are, even though you're using that method, people are going to see you play what she said and then still just talk and not actually address what was said and what showed. Because you didn't just want, in that case, give your personal view. You want to say, this is what she's saying, this is what he's saying. Now form an opinion based on what was said, not just what I said. You understand?
Agreed.
Therein lies the
Agreed.
problem. They don't want to do the work, even though it's so easy. People, sometimes people look at us and feel we put so much work into the presentation. And let's be honest, it's work, but it ain't as much work as they think once you know where to go to get a source. You don't have to be the most intelligent person in the world. Just quote somebody who everybody respects, and guess what? You are off the hook because
See, boy. Just
I don't
quote
know.
somebody
It sounds like
everybody
y'all can
respects.
hear what he's saying. It sounds like y'all can hear what he's saying. I can't. So
He
what
said,
if you
just
heard what
quote
he said?
somebody everybody respects and you all good. That's what he said.
What did you said that?
Yes, he did say that.
You can't just quote. That's exactly what we're speaking against.
Exactly.
When you just quote something that because bro, sometimes you know what I learned last night, like with Patai. Sometimes the people that they respect, they just respect them because somebody that they respect told them that that was a person to respect. The only reason that anybody in 2025 under the age of 35 or 30 respects Benjamin is because somebody that they respect told them that Benjamin was a doctor. They don't know him. They don't know him. They don't know that man. They don't know that he had. They were calling Dr. Ben before he even had an honorary doctorate. He was teaching at Cornell before he had an honorary doctorate. Dr. James Turner skipped over a whole bunch of qualified, respected people to get him into that guest lecture position at Cornell University. So the only reason why anybody my age or under would even respect Youssef was because I heard somebody I respect say it. That's it. You don't, and if you just respect people in that way, I don't even think that that's how respect works. So now you're saying, now the danger in just saying that the respect of a quote is somebody put something up. No, it's got to be more than a quote, especially if you're presenting whatever they're presenting as science. If it's cultural and political, cool. I didn't create black supremacy is worse than white supremacy. MLK said that. Martin Luther King said that. It's cultural, it's political. I don't know if it's scientific. I'm pretty sure it's not. But I say it, and I say it with a full understanding. And I'm not doing that because somebody told me to respect Dr. King. I've done enough respect, and I mean I've done enough research, seen enough, read enough, heard enough from him directly to say he's a man of respect. So when he says black supremacy is is worse than white supremacy, I agree. Not based off just his name. You can't just do it just based off of respect because we already told you, bro. Last night, somebody told me somebody said the words Carter G. Woodson. Who are the elders? Who are these elders? Elder is man of respect. I appreciate whoever put in the chat the definition, but it's man of respect, a person that leads the community. Carter G. Woodson, W.E. Du Bois, Kenneth and Mamie Clark, and then finished with Francis York and Bobby Hemmett. If y'all don't want tears in y'all community, I don't want to be in your community. Because I'm not putting Francis York and Bobby Hemmett with Carter G. Woodson and W.E.B. Du Bois. I'm not doing that.
But W.E. Du Bois W.E.B. Du Bois was pseudo. He promoted the talented 10. W.E.B. Du Bois was pseudo for promoting the event. I dare anybody to do
No.
Then
you missed my. Hold on. But you missed my
point.
No.
But I keep on. No. My point is that he was pseudo. He promoted the talented 10.
That was solely political and not scientific.
And I don't agree with you.
It is pseudo. It is very pseudo.
I don't agree with you.
It is pseudo. Let's read up on the talented 10. And although it may be political and not scientific, it was promoted by him. And it is pseudo. It is pseudo.
Rather than just yelling, stop.
Yeah,
rather than yelling that it was pseudo.
Part of it, Stu
What was pseudo about the talented 10? Don't just keep saying it was pseudo. What was it?
The talented 10 came out of a time in the United States of America.
What was it? What was it? What does it mean?
It promoted elitism. And I dare anybody
be specific. Don't. What was the talented 10th? What did it mean? Like talented 10th in the dictionary. Define it.
The talented 10th, as QPs interpret it and comprehend it, is that within a group of people, we will pick out specific people who their role and responsibility was to provide, but I try to break it down in layman terms, to provide a lighthouse, a guiding light for the rest of the people within that same community. And he chose to say 10% of the people possess the ability to do that.
Okay.
And
so why is that pseudo?
It is pseudo because it is pseudo because 10% of people, why that arbitrary number? Why the arbitrary number? Why he came up with just 10%? 10% is an arbitrary number.
Okay.
Is it not?
So
is it not?
Hold on. Was he saying that it was science, or was he saying that it was social and a strategy?
He was promoting it social and a strategy, but social.
So then it couldn't have been pseudo.
No, it can be pseudo. It can be pseudo.
Listen.
No. You're saying that it couldn't be pseudo because it's merely a political or a social approach. But political and social approach can also be pseudo because it can
I'm not saying that. Listen, I'm not doing the
whataboutism.
I'm talking. No. I'm not talking about.
I'm not talking
about. Yeah, I'm not talking about like that. I'm talking about when you say that why would I critique one? Because this is why the whataboutism is dangerous.
Oh no, I'm not arguing about
hold on, wait. No, we're not arguing. We're just talking. When she presented her cultural and political theory, it was incorrect. But it would have just stayed there as incorrect. When she presented it as science, when she started saying that it was scientific and somehow, and she started putting morals and behaviors with a biological definition on the entire race, that's where it went in the race. W.E.B. Du Bois, when he said the talented 10th, hold on. Pseudo means something is pretending to be scientific. That's what I mean when I say pseudo. So the reason why I'm saying no, it was pseudoscience. Well, I'm just using it.
You're saying pseudoscience. All right.
Right. I'm just saying the word pseudo. I know different people. That's why I'm trying to correct myself before we get into it, and we don't need to. I'm saying when I say pseudo, I mean the actual word, not this bullshit they be saying in the conscious community. Most people say pseudo and have no idea what it means. Pseudo means something pretending to be scientific. If you're using the language or the form of science and you have no evidence to back it up, that's cool. I have no problem with the talented 10th. I have no problem with the talented 10th because to me it's just a social educational strategy.
All right.
He didn't put
Okay.
no biology on it. He didn't say
Can I remark?
it was real quick. He didn't say that it was proven by any psychology. He didn't say that this is correct because of the biology or any kind of hard science. It was like a slogan or an argument.
Okay.
Hers was she said
no.
it was backed by genetics and
I
biology.
am not whataboutism now. I'm not comparing him to anybody else.
No. I didn't say that's what you did. I'm saying I don't want to do that. I'm saying I don't want to compare them to.
I'm not comparing him to anybody. Pseudo is a prefix. Do we agree with that? That the word pseudo is a prefix.
Yes.
Right? And pseudo has been attached to many other terminology. Right? It can, but in this community, for this instance, you're referring to him as not being pseudo-scientific. Yes. And I'm not questioning that. That is true. That is true. He's not pseudo-scientific, but he's a pseudo-human being. Because many other things that he came up with was bullshit. And the talented 10th was bullshit. So he had a pseudo argument. It might not be a scientific argument, but that don't make it any less pseudo. And the talented 10th argument that he promoted was a pseudo argument that is based on bullshit. It is an arbitrary number.
No. It's a prefix.
Of course.
You said it. Okay, but you said it's a prefix. So put the second word to it. I put pseudoscience. I put science after the prefix. So it's pseudo what?
All right, let me think about it. Pseudo social engineering. Pseudo social engineering. Right. Because what he was trying to do was to promote and create a social class that in his mind would be the beacon for everybody in black society. And that is pseudo. And because of that, his work is pseudo. And because his work is pseudo, he is also pseudo. So I can say W.E. Du Bois is pseudo, and I dare anybody to prove that the talented 10th that he promoted was not pseudo. In terms of not being scientifically
pseudo how? Just so you're saying it's
because it was arbitrary. Because it was arbitrary.
You put a thing to it. Pseudo what?
He was promoting pseudo social engineering.
Pseudo social engineering.
Right.
Okay.
W.E. Du Bois was pseudo.
I love the word. I was just trying. I actually think that was fly how you did that.
Of course. Of course. Not because Stupies have any accent. Didn't mean that Stupies drop out of more college than anybody else.
I'm trying to tell you about bad boy. I'll tell you.
But he's taking you in deep water right now for no reason, bro.
Of course. No, go and read W.E. Du Bois' works. Because I've read.
What'd you say, Corey?
I've read some of his work.
Hold on, Stupies. Yeah. What'd you say, Corey? I'm trying to get different voices other than
I said. I was just saying. I've been trying to tell y'all Stupies is a bad boy now. I mean, don't underestimate Stupies. Go ahead, y'all.
Yeah, that 10% was an arbitrary number, and unless you can prove fact in that 10%, you cannot quote the talented 10 in anything. And I would not teach my children about the talented 10. Then there's no way any black person should be teaching their children about the talented 10. So if we're going to go,
I think you're missing.
No, we're not missing the point.
The whole conversation.
So we can't talk spirit. We can't talk about spirit when it comes to W.E. Du Bois. We're going to talk about.
So what I'm saying is
any ruler that you're walking with, walk with that same ruler for everybody.
Say, bro. Mm-hmm. Can I talk?
Yeah,
W.E. Du Bois, if I'm not mistaken, is touted as like one of the best American sociologists ever.
Straighten my argument.
We would be talking, huh?
You're straightening my argument. With this qualification, you're actually strengthening my argument. But go ahead. It sounds wonderful. He's the best what? Social what?
I said he's one of the most celebrated American sociologists, if I'm not mistaken.
Beautiful. With a pseudo argument. With an arbitrary number that he plucked out of the air. No, because if we're going to use a ruler to measure people, we have to use the same ruler and the same argument that we have against people. No, somebody needs to this panel to tell me where the WEB, the boys came up with that 10%. That 10% is actually from white people, from the Roman decimal, desiccate. Romans used to desiccate, meaning that they took a tenth of the army that was not moving right and kill them. They set up the troops in 10, 10, 10, 10, decimal, desiccate. That's where it come from. So guess what? The 10 sound good because instead of what the Romans did when people were not behaving right, in killing 10% of the army, what he decided, I'm going to promote 10% of black people. I'm not going to do like the Romans. Go and read up on the Romans and desiccate where it came from, the origin of that word. And you realize
it didn't come from the Romans.
Where it came from? You want to bet?
I'm just telling you.
The Roman.
I'm just going hard. I'm just telling you it didn't come from the Romans. Because now you're saying deca like it's 10, but he meant decim. That's why I looked it up. I wasn't gonna look it up. You almost had me.
Yeah, but look at it.
You said decimate, trying to make it 10. And that ain't 10. He didn't get it from the Romans.
Look at the Roman punishment. All right. Please go into Chat GPT and look how the Romans
century. Hold on. In 19th century, I don't know. I don't care what the Romans did. I'm just asking.
That's my argument. That's my argument.
I know that's listen to me. I know that's your argument, but I'm not going to look at where the Romans got 10 from. I'm going to look at where Du Bois got his idea and concept for the talented 10th. Why was it 10? So it wasn't from the Romans. It came out of 19th century American educational thought. The idea that a small group of educated leaders could guide societal progress, common in elite, you're right in this part, common in elite, white, liberal, and missionary circles. Du Bois adapted this to Black America and the Negro problem in his essay, The Talented 10th. There's also influence from Plato's Republic. Plato's guardian class concept, a small educated elite should govern wisely, and was well known in classical education, and Du Bois studied the classics at Harvard and in Europe. Booker T. Washington was the contrast, and I don't know why he specifically said 10th. I mean, it sounds cool, but it's a Western political thought, and it's still today.
It's pseudo. It's not a pseudo thought.
No, it's not pseudo. But it's
not pseudo.
Because it's not. He wasn't trying to be scientific.
No, but pseudo has nothing to do with scientific.
He's the founder of Freestyle. Hold on. I know y'all go off on these tangents. Just give me one. I don't want to have a yelling thing with you. I just want to talk to you.
Sorry.
Where it didn't work, and here's the reason. Well, where it didn't work is also like a trickle down economic theory. So I had to break it down to where I understood it too. Remember we were talking about too big to fail before, and making sure that the top 10 companies and this and the S&P 500, right? But that doesn't always work, because a lot of times when you try to do the trickle down economics, it never makes it to the bottom. And even Du Bois later in the 30s and 40s, he revised it, because what he didn't realize is you had to have a mass employment. In order for it to work, you needed a mix of Booker T. What happened was you needed what we all agreed to at the same. You needed a mix of Booker T and a mix of Du Bois and put it together. You can have that class, that talented 10th, but you need mass employment like Booker T in labor circles and all of that. And then it's something that'll work. And in the 30s and 40s, Du Bois realized that. That's why he didn't die saying talented the 10th. Later on, even he said, yeah, it doesn't apply. But once again, it was a social thing. It was an educational. It was an educational strategy. So saying that we need to pull the talented 10th from the universities and colleges, and we need to try to change our overall our races overall, address our plights by getting them educated and then plucking the talented 10th. It works, but if you don't have the mass employment behind it, it can't work, because it won't. There's no guarantee that it'll trickle down to the laborers unless you have mass employment. But if you don't have mass employment, then the laborers are just watching the talented 10th do whatever it is that they're doing, and it ends up looking like, in some cases, being that the talented 10th is just up there doing shit for themselves to make sure that they stay the talented 10th.
All right, let me rebut you. Booker T. Washington for most
you
of his
accept
life.
any part of my argument before you rebut what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I don't want to. Sounds like we're at war.
No, we're not war. I accept your argument that Booker T. Washington come later in his life to understand that he was bullshitting. That his thing didn't work.
No,
that's what he's saying. That's what he said.
He just said it.
No.
That you needed other pieces, but because he wasn't an economist either.
No,
he wasn't an economist. He didn't realize.
Because he was pseudo. Yes, he was pseudo because
no
he
one.
Made
it's just you.
No. Hold. Let me finish. Let me say.
Go ahead.
Booker T. Washington realized that he was a pseudo and that he was bullshitting people later in life. No. But the boys, W.E. Du Bois, my opinion, realized that he was a pseudo and he was bullshitting people later in his life. But what he was famous for promoting without any without any knowledge of economics, without any knowledge of science, it sounds familiar? Who do that? Who promote a theory? It might not be a scientific theory, but it was a theory nonetheless, without any economic knowledge. An economic theory without economic knowledge?
It's not an economic theory. It wasn't an economic theory. He based it. He based it as a social theory based on Western civilization, sociological thought at the time. It wasn't an economic theory.
Whoa! So he gets a pass. He gets a pass
because he didn't promote it as science.
Of course, he promoted it as the next best.
He did not promote it as science.
Of course, he promoted it as the next best thing since sliced bread. And I did he
promote it as science? I don't know what the hell that means, but did he promote it as science?
At some point, we just got you got to at least agree to something he's saying, yo.
No.
I'm telling you, W.B. Du Bois is one of the most celebrated. He's one of the most celebrated scholars in American history. American history, yo.
Not just promote it as science. Just answer that question. Did he promote it as did he promote that the talented 10th was a scientific fact and had to be put in place? Did he do that?
If sociology is a science, he promoted it as a social science.
Bro.
All right, he promoted it as a social science, not a numerical science.
Fine.
Right? Now, if anybody in here can say the talented 10th argument is not pseudo, I will just sit back because that's one of the most pseudo arguments. That's one of the most pseudo arguments in the world, the talented 10th.
Okay.
Corey, is the talented 10th science?
Hey, Brad, can you still hear me?
I can hear you. I just don't agree.
Is the talented 10th science? Anybody in here? Is the talented 10th based on anything? Or was just a number that he arbitrarily plucked out of the sky?
I fought with ChatGPT for 2 hours one time to try to get him to say something bad about W.B. Du Bois. Bro, I just gave up. I said, that's a super nigga right there. You want to find a super nigga? See, there's a super nigga. Of course, he's gonna have some flaws.
It's gonna be very difficult to. You'll be very hard pressed in any room, white, black, scientifically literate, scientifically illiterate, to get forth the thought that W.E.B. Du Bois, literally the best of us, was
literally.
No. You know the argument that I found, the strongest argument I found for pseudoism? He packed up and ran away. He packed up and ran away when he realized that he was dispelling bullshit to his people. He packed up and he ran away when he realized.
Are you trying to get under our skin right now? Like, is this some African American type shit?
Yeah, I think you tried.
No. Are you trying to talk shit about African Americans right now?
No, I am saying that.
I literally know why he left, and the fact that you said he left for that means the argument that you're making is pseudo. This is complete emotion.
No.
You don't even know.
My argument say he ran.
No. He ran.
Okay.
He ran. No, but let's be honest. If we're going to say that Francis Cress Wilson, her argument is pseudo. And we're going to say it's pseudo because, and it is. And I'm not doubting that it is. The argument is pseudo, right? But his argument was also pseudo. The talent intent was a pseudo
How many
argument.
times you said it's science, Brass? What's happening?
Pseudo
I said, how many times did you say it's got to be science?
You don't read.
What's happening?
You know that you don't read because pseudo is
he's actually not a dummy, but like
pseudo is a prefect. If you didn't understand that pseudo is a prefect, you wouldn't say anything. You wouldn't mention the word science.
Right. So what's the full term?
Okay, but he's not putting forth science.
No, we're not talking about pseudoscience, no.
He was
we're
just
talking
putting forth a social policy.
Yeah,
Do
so
you
it was
know,
a pseudo.
listen,
Would you agree
listen,
that is a pseudo social policy?
Do you understand that? Do you understand, real quick, do you understand that if Frances Cress Welsing put forth her social theory as just a social theory, I wouldn't even be having this conversation. It's the fact that she put forth a social, cultural theory and then started adding in biology genetics. So where they differ is the boys can use Talented 10th, and to be honest, Talented 10th predates him. Like I've looked into this way further than I even wanted to. So the phrase predates the boys. It appears in 19th century in speeches by white northern philanthropists like Henry Morehouse. I'm sure we know who he is. Morehouse used Talented 10th to describe the fraction of Black Americans he thought could be developed into leaders through higher education. He adopted and redefined the term in his 1903 essay, Talented 10th. The 10 was not based on biology or statistical science. It was a symbolic fraction meant to illustrate a small but significant leadership in class. It could have been 1 in 20. It could have been 1 in 15. 10 was just rhetorically clean. It wasn't pseudoscience because pseudoscience means making scientific sounding claims without valid evidence. Du Bois wasn't saying exactly 10% of Black people were genetically destined for leadership. He was proposing a social policy. He was to educate a small vanguard deeply, and that's what'll lift the mass. Now, were they saying he was elitist and classist and that it seemed like you just trying to lift this group? Yes, he was. But they weren't saying he was pseudo, and they wasn't saying he was racist.
Okay, everybody around here throwing out the word pseudo. Let's be honest.
Not me.
Without science, without the word science, just the prefix pseudo. What does pseudo mean?
Tell us.
I'm not asking you. I'm asking the other dude who jumped. What's his name? The other dude. What pseudo mean? Because you have used it before. What pseudo mean?
It means a liar, a hypocrite, and a windbag. That's what it means.
What it mean?
A liar, a hypocrite, and a windbag. If you look it up.
Well,
what it says.
Is a prefix pseudo. Only is the perfect.
No, pseudo just means pretending to be what it's not. That's all pseudo means without it. Just a prefix, pretending to be what it's not.
Is the prefix pseudo only restricted to scientific terms? Is the prefix pseudo only restricted to scientific terms?
No.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Right, so we can agree on that. If we agree that it is not restricted to only scientific, we can't call him a pseudo. Because his argument was pseudo white people argument that he was broke. He's pseudo. Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, Psycho definitely do not like W.E.B. Du Bois. I know that already.
Yeah, he's pseudo.
Look, bro, I ain't gonna lie. That's the first time I had to say it, Brass. I said, damn, this is super. Yeah. That nigga cold.
Now let's go to another part of your argument because you said that and a lot of people don't know. And we was talking about Kwame before. Remember we had that conversation before about Kwame Nkrumah when you were talking about the dictator Ibrahim, and we were talking about Kwame Nkrumah. So when you were saying that he left because he was what'd you say? What'd you say? He left America because what?
He was running away. He ran away.
He was running away because he was wrong.
He ran away.
So okay, he left. I know the Kwame Nkrumah part. I know Kwame Nkrumah. He went there to Ghana to write a book for Kwame Nkrumah. I remember that. It was like it was either a biographical book or a sociological book for Kwame Nkrumah. He got sick and died there. But there's another piece that I just learned just now. So he left late in his life in 1961 for political, personal, and strategic reasons. By the 40s, 50s, he had shifted to, I knew that. Okay, he shifted toward Pan-Africanism and socialism. He was openly critical of U.S. racism, capitalism, and Cold War policy. Now, you remember McCarthy, the McCarthyisms. And during that era, if you did that, you were considered un-American. Remember, we was in the Cold War. So, right. So they withdrew his passport because of his political associations. That's the whole communist thing and all of that. He was indicted, check this out, in 1951 under the Foreign Agents Registration Act for his work with the Peace Information Center. Now, for those that don't know the Peace Information Center or the Cold War, during that time, it's not like today where you could kind of like just talk against the United States and get away with it. There was a time, the McCarthy trials and kind of the Cold War era, where when you spoke against the United States government, it was considered an attack, and you could have there was actual ramifications for that. And what would happen was that's the spy games. So Russia would start groups in the United States, and it would seem like they just sitting there meeting for tea and discussing, politics and current news of the day. But in actuality, it was like a spy conversation, and Americans was falling for it. It's like a propaganda campaign. So they would push forth their propaganda to try to change Americans in the United States to go to their side, whatever. So he went to this meeting. That organization was considered linked to Russia. So he was being investigated by the FBI. He had the same thing they was doing to Martin Luther King, COINTEL, all of that. So in the 50s, he didn't want to, he was how would you describe it? I wish Chef was here. He was all for civil rights, but he thought it was going too damn slow. That's Chef correct. And hold on, Chef, correct me if I'm wrong. He was in full agreement that Black people needed civil rights, but he kind of felt like it was taking too long. And he was also saying that we weren't talking about Africa. We weren't talking about anything going on in Africa, just African Americans in here. So he got an invitation from Ghana's first president, Kwame Nkrumah. Okay, so it's an encyclopedia. He invited Du Bois to move to Ghana to work on an encyclopedia. He did that in 61. And then he became a Ghanaian citizen. He got sick and he died in Ghana.
Okay,
writing that encyclopedia for Kwame.
All right.
So nowhere in there was he running because of his ideas. He was actually to his dying day in the to his time in the United States, he was actually fighting the government and saying that we were actually moving too fucking slow on civil rights.
Brad, can I ask you a question? Because you're one of the brightest person inside here. So I can have a conversation.
Don't say that. You're gonna have them calling me. You're gonna be calling me. They're gonna be calling me agent.
No, stupid. No, stupid. Say you're one of the brightest person in the room. You're brighter than me. I don't give a fuck. I don't have a problem with that. I acknowledge where I stand, and I acknowledge where I've been and where I'm going. But let's look at W.E. Du Bois' life, and let's try to correlate. We're not going to contrast now. We're going to try to come to a middle ground to try to understand this man. A man who was, in his younger days, was promoting an elitist idea, talented tent, which we can call a early capitalistic idea.
I didn't say it wasn't elitist. I almost agree with you that it was elitist. I almost agree with that.
Right? But then in his latter years, he disregarded basically everything that he was, and he promoted the majority of his life to now becoming severely left-leaning. Because Kwame Nkrumah was left-leaning. I know about African politics. He was left-leaning. He was easily sided with the Soviet, right? So no, W.E. Du Bois made a 360. What would I call that now? What kind of shift would I call that?
180.
Right? No, they have a pretty word for it. I can't remember it now. You see, since I get this heart attack and this stroke, half of my brain, my memory fuck up. But paradigm shift. He made a paradigm shift from who he was to who he became before he died. He disregarded all of the preachings, all of the teachings that he had developed in his earlier years. And the only way a man of that intellect could totally dismiss all of his early teaching, because he came to recognize that early W.E.B. Du Bois was pseudo as hell. He himself recognized that, not anybody else, because he made a shift that was totally different than what he was to who he is. Now you can argue for him from the outside, but he does not make that argument for himself by his actions. He tells you by his actions that his early work was pseudo as frig. So any W.E. Du Bois you're promoting, you have to tell me which one. The early pseudo W.E. Du Bois or the later one who saw the light and came to salvation? Which one you're promoting, bruh?
All right, so you said a lot. So I'm gonna just address quickly some of the stuff you said. I do agree he went to Nkrumah because of the left leaning. I do agree with that. I won't even. It had a lot to do with the encyclopedia. Don't get me wrong. But Ghana offered him. The U.S. government was attacking, and Ghana offered him that, and he did become heavy socialist towards the end. He definitely became heavy socialist towards the end and anti-colonial. And he was kind of moving away from the talented 10th and saying capitalism is the reason for all of that. So I can't disagree with that. I'm going to tell you what I agree with the first before I tell you what I disagree with. So I agree with you there. I don't think he disregarded it as all stuff. Where I'll compromise with you there is I think he just because he disagreed with the talented 10th, that was more an educational strategy and policy. I don't think he disregarded all his old stuff and all his old ideas. I think he the methods to get that stuff across. I think he still fully believed all of those things, but the talented he figured out that the talented 10th didn't work. He was so against Booker T. Washington. Once again, he didn't realize that you had to have mass employment of the labor class, the lower. So if he's saying talented 10th, the 90% has to be heavily employed in order for that to work. Because if they're not employed, then the only thing that they could do is the talented 10th could get in there and make legislation for unemployed folks and to protect them. So I get that part. And he kind of started with the elitism because that's when the same government that he was trying to be a part of was also, he realized when they were attacking him because of the Cold War stuff, that trying to be a part of them, but not, it's kind of like Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King found out after the civil rights, probably towards the end of getting the civil rights bill passed, he immediately realized the burning house. He immediately realized that the civil rights without economic justice, the civil rights almost you kind of negate the majority of the benefits you would have gotten because you didn't focus on any economic justice. With Du Bois, he realized that yes, we could be the talented 10th, but if we don't focus on labor of the other 90%, if we don't focus on the government can just sweep all that shit away and just call it Cold War thinking. So he didn't abandon everything. I will never agree with you that he was pseudo. You can just go ahead and run with that. I'm never gonna agree that you will. I'm taking that to my grave that he wasn't pseudo. But listen, that's where we can agree to disagree. But I do
ask you guys a
a lot more left wing.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Go ahead. Who's that?
Yeah.
Who are you?
A lot of times when I'm listening to this panel,
say your name.
MVP. Please. Chris Harris.
All right, Chris, go ahead.
You're in the server, Chris, and it's the first time you came in here?
Yeah.
Shouts to Chris. No. Okay, go ahead, Chris.
Who's this I'm talking to?
Brass.
Who's this I'm talking to?
Brass.
Brass, that's stupid. Brass. Like BRAS.
Brad. We don't know each other. Go ahead.
Okay, it's cool. A lot of times when I'm listening to the podcast here or this Discord, I notice something here. It seems like to me that y'all come across a little bit rage baity.
I do.
Why are we? Yeah, but why do we Why do we attack our black scholars? Do you have a problem with Afrocentric thinking? Because Afrocentric think had excuse me, thought patterns and scholarship was to correct Eurocentrism as it was being presented in America and abroad. It was used to correct the idea that Africans did not have civilizations of their own, were not able to create their own writing, medicine, and history, that we didn't have a history. And it was correcting a lot of wrong. So what problem do you have with it?
Let me go first, because Brass going to give his opinion, but let me give you mine. I have no problem with people in the past being pseudo, because most scientists in the past were pseudo. I celebrate African people for trying and their accomplishment. I'm not going to disregard them, measuring them in 2025 term and terminology. Why I'm calling W.E. Du Bois pseudo is because I am just presenting that, listen, Francis Wilson wasn't the only pseudo. Plato was pseudo as hell. Socrates was pseudo as hell. But we don't call them pseudo, and we don't dismiss them.
Yeah, but why is Stupies? No. Right there. Let's stop right there. Why do you call W.E. Du Bois pseudo? Have you ever read the book The Soul of Black Folk?
By the way, Chris Harris, that's the first time. If you're talking about specifically this conversation, brother, let me introduce myself. I'm Brass, Tri-Media. We partner with Chef and Carnivorous, and this is our Discord.
Wait a minute. I think you're on. Okay.
What'd you say? Go ahead. What'd you say?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No. I got you and somebody else's media mixed up because some people. No. I thought that maybe you've commented on my page before, because I see that comment come across on my YouTube channel sometimes. I thought
I will. Maybe it was. I'll say Pete. Because it was me. I'll say Pete. We're doing some stuff in the conscious community. I'll say peace to the chat. Hit the like button, just to help the algorithm and help your channel. Like, to even whether I watch it or don't. It's just support. It's just support. But the other part is
not in war with a real pseudo right now. But we go there another time.
That's cool. But here's the statement. Because if you're addressing the W.E.B. Du Bois argument, not one time on this channel has anybody other than Stu P said the words W.E.B. Du Bois is pseudo. So that's not the channel.
That's why I'm asking. Yeah, that's why I'm asking him. What makes W.E. Du Bois, a scholar and an educator, pseudo?
No, because but you answer the question. You ask the question of false premises, Chris. You assume that a scholar.
That's not a false premise. I never gave you a premise, so you can't call it a false premise. No. You made the statement and said that he was pseudo, so I need you to tell me why is he a pseudo? He's an educator and a scholar. I never gave a premise.
Let me finish. By saying that he's an educator and a scholar, what you're actually saying,
he is.
Yes, he is. But and pseudo in the first sentence is that you are implying that an educator and a scholar cannot be pseudo. So when you're saying that, we ask the question, why do you think W.E. Du Bois is a pseudo? It has nothing to do with whether or not he's educated and a scholar, because we know that educated scholars can be pseudo. So don't ask the question that way. That's a bad way to ask the question. We ask the question.
And this is. Are you just gonna hijack the conversation and not allow me and you to interact?
No, I finished talking.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I pause.
Mute out, Stupies. Go ahead, Chris. Talk your shit.
All right. First of all, I never gave a premise on W.E. Du Bois. W.E. Du Bois speaks for himself, right? But he was a scholar. He's no longer here in the living, and he is a educator, right? That's who he was. I asked you the question, why is he a pseudo? And you're just giving me these blanket statements. Just because he's a scholar doesn't mean that he can't be a pseudo. No, I'm asking you. Asking you why. Hey, Stupies, you got.
Then let me answer the question.
We want to be able to have the conversation.
Are you Dr. Umar?
No. You have to let me finish.
You ask the same question.
Okay, here's the problem right
here. Are you Dr. Umar?
No. You can't tell me I have to finish.
Let him get it out, stupid. When he stopped
it's crazy. This is crazy. Thank you, Chef. Me and Chef can go at it all day in the chats. Me and Chef been going at it for 7-8 years. and not let him talk. I don't mind your opinion, but at least tell me why he's a pseudo. Give me the material that you see as pseudo so I can look it over and be able to sit there and go over it with you so I can follow your argument here. What one of his works would you consider pseudo? So we can go over and you show me what pseudo specifically.
Can I answer
Bad
now?
hill to die on, bro.
Can I answer now? Can I answer now? Can I answer now?
Yes. Yes. Go ahead and answer. Everybody else mute up.
In his work, The Talented Tenth, W.E. Du Bois arbitrarily picked a number. There's no basis on which that number was chosen. Now, if you, Chris Harris, can show me the basis on which 10% was chosen, I will shut my ass up. But you cannot. So go ahead now and tell me that he did not arbitrarily pick a number. I'm done.
Okay. So your argument is based on his talented 10th doctrine. Am I correct?
You know that this is bullshit now.
I'm just asking you. But there was more to the. Okay, yeah. What was the talented? No, it's not bullshit. Okay, this is the problem right here. This is the problem right here. Hold on, excuse me. No. What you're doing is you're showing me a lot right now, and you're saying because he had. Excuse me. I'm not finished. What's the problem with me talking? I let you speak, and I was quiet. So you're saying that based on his talented 10th doctrine, that makes him pseudo. What was his basis of the talented 10th doctrine? I'm asking you this so I can be sure that's what you're saying, so we can go into his work, because he explains to you why he called it the talented 10th. He said only the most educated Negroes, that was the common word used at that time, should be able to lead our people. That's why he called it the talented 10th. What's so pseudo about him saying only the educated should be able to lead our people? Because when we see people today that are coming around that aren't educated leading our people, they're still considered pseudo. But here it is, he was an educator. He was somebody who that was degreed, and he had a philosophy called the talented 10th. So I'm trying to figure out, when you say talented 10th, once again, that's kind of broad. What part of it? There's more to it than that. That's not enough for me to sit up there and argue with you. But part of that doctrine or that philosophy, that's what educated people have. They use philosophy to speak, and they base it on the economic, socio-political, the economic and social political arenas of that time. And at that time, not every African or people coming out of slavery were even educated. So it would only be a talented 10th that should be speaking for our people. He never said that people who weren't educated couldn't help, or people who weren't educated couldn't speak. He said only the talented 10th should lead our people. That was for that arena at that time, and you're saying that it was pseudo at a time when we did not have a lot of education. That's all I'm saying.
This is like trying to critique Michael Jordan's fadeaway.
No, I don't want to change the conversation. I don't want to change the conversation. Say what you're saying, just don't change the conversation.
I'm real quick. This is like critiquing Michael Jordan's fadeaway. This is not a good hill to like die on.
I just want to give a little bit of pushback, Chris, or maybe we agree and you're just not being specific. Inside of that talented 10th, though, it was also ministers. So it wasn't just education. He was talking. It was educated, but then it was like, I think he used the word exceptional men or something like that. And I think underneath all of it, he just wasn't talking about like the sharecroppers, the tradesmen, the urban poor, and domesticated people, like domestic workers, like maids and stuff like that. But it wasn't just education in the talented 10th. It was also college graduates, yes, teachers, but ministers, writers, intellectuals, and professionals, whether they was educated necessarily or not. I think that's why he threw that exceptional men. And then at that 10, people get so caught up on that number 10. The 10 number was a symbolic thing. It wasn't exactly 10%. It was based off of something before him that he got from a minister, William Morehouse. I think that's the founder of Morehouse University, but he got that from William Morehouse. And it was just the symbol of a small group. It wasn't specifically 10%. Now, if I was push back,
and he didn't apply a biological factor to it, saying 10% of black folks are the smartest ones and all this extra bullshit. He ain't do none of that. He just saying like, yo, this is out of our group, out of our community, out of our population. Let's take symbolically 10% of the smartest ones, or whatever the fuck you was trying to say. But he's not trying to apply a biological factor to that though. That doesn't take it into the realm of science or pseudo.
Okay, I'm gonna let Stu Peas respond, Chris. Stu Peas, I had to mute you, bro. You was pausing. I was gonna say coming in hot. Pause. Go ahead, Stu Peas. You got the floor, but take your emotion out. Just talk to the brother Chris. Go ahead, Stu.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I speak without being interrupted? And since I was muted,
yes, sir. I'll mute everybody else. Go ahead.
All right. Two things I realized. The other day I heard somebody in the conscious community defend slaughtering chicken. And they went on a whole gish gab, blim blam, a bag of words. And they didn't address the question. None at all. They just spoke a lot of information. And I think people that would be able to decipher. And that's what I witnessed here today. And I'm wondering if it's a trait of those in the conscious community when it comes to discussion. I made my point simple and direct. Now people are going to talk about W.E.B. Du Bois and the talented 10 and exceptionalism. I don't even throw in the fact that he was a colorist. Because if we look at that time and look who was the most educated and who were the most religious, and we look at them, we're looking at the blue vein society. We're looking at light brown people. So, but I didn't go into that version because I don't want to distract people. That he was a colorist, that he promoted the talented 10. At that time, who were going to college and who got the opportunity to go to college? The first
verse trying to trigger us, yo.
No. All right, good day.
I said that the attack on the light skins.
Good day. Have a good day.
Okay.
I will listen.
Tapping out. Pause. He's tapping out.
I will listen because other people can talk uninterrupted, but I can't. Have a good day.
Oh no, I didn't know you was done. Go ahead. I didn't know you weren't done. Keep going. Everybody's me out. Keep going.
Yeah, because what is happening is that I ask him, where did W.E. Du Bois get the number from? And everybody's saying, oh, it was at the time, it was the thinking of the time, it was sociology, it was white people, but he ran with it. He ran with a percentage that he had no proof for. And because it's not a science, it was sociology, we allowed him to get away with it. And we should not have allowed him to get away with it. And he himself in his lifetime abandoned it. Because you might say he might not have abandoned all of it, but he no longer discussed it in his latter years in life. It wasn't something that he promoted. Okay. And we know that. The history tells us that. He knew that early Du Bois was pseudo. All right.
Finish? Can I answer that?
Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, well, first of all, you're absolutely wrong about the talented 10th. He did not make up the doctrine of the talented 10th. This is why I asked you guys about Afrocentrism or the person that has a problem with it. It was whites that made up the talented 10th and said that they would lead all people. So his response to that talented 10th would be the talented 10th of Negroes that would lead their own people. And his response was anti-white. So when you said that he was a colorist, no, the fuck he wasn't. That's a lie. That shows me that you've never read his essay on the talented 10th and you don't know what you're talking about. You're just up here spewing rhetoric. The talented 10th was something created by them, and his talented 10th doctrine was for us. So this is how I know sometimes when I hear people talking, guys are just, excuse me, not you all, Stupies, you're just regurgitating YouTube talking points. Go read his essay. It's available online. It's called A Primary, and understand the socio-political movements of that time that were going on. You don't know what you're talking about, bro. That's game, match, set, point. You're done. You're done.
Damn. Any retort, Stu Peas, or are we moving forward? We're now you came when you got in, you were talking about W.E.B. Du Bois. Was that the only person you wanted to talk about, Chris?
I laugh, because this is a joke. Later, I'm listening.
Peace.
Yeah,
so I think he got. No, I'm saying like, so while Chris is here, can we address his conversation about why we are disagreeing with some of these Afrocentric scholars?
I don't know, but Du Bois was definitely a colorist. It just doesn't sound good coming from Stu Peas, but he was a colorist. It's not. Listen, I don't have to. I'm not trying to validate. I don't know what he means when he's saying colorist. Maybe he can give us some examples. But to say W.E.B. Du Bois wasn't a colorist, he definitely was a colorist. And I don't know how you can.
They not like us. They not like us.
There's just no comparison between.
Hold on, but he wrote about the advantages of being lighter skinned and more acceptable to white society. In the definition, that's like the definition. Now I don't know what Stu Peas is. That what you're trying to say, Stu Peas, or no?
That's why I stopped talking, because he didn't know history, and he belatedly lied the first thing he said. He doesn't know anything. He just know to put a bunch of pretty words together. Chris argument. Chris argue like Unc. If you listen to both of them, you realize
we don't need to slander Unc. Why you doing drop? You gotta fix your microphone, Stu. You gotta fix your microphone, Stu.
But later, I'll be back on.
Go ahead. But he definitely in his early work.
You know what? I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes Stu Peas make some good points, but he long-winded and he be trying to trigger people, yo.
No, they just listening. No, they just listening to the person. So when Stu Peas say colorist, you go crazy. I say colorist, you don't fight it. And if we're gonna talk about his previous works, in Dusk of Dawn, he reflects on how mulattoes often held leadership roles because they had more opportunity without fully interrogating how that fed colorism. His marriage and his social networks all often included lighter-skinned elites, which some critics say show personal bias. His early critics, including many in the talented 10th he admired, skewed toward lighter-skinned, mixed heritage Black Americans who historically had more access to education. Now, I think in his way of colorist, what he means is similar to Obama, that Obama was the perfect complexion for the type of person that could be president of the United States. I don't think someone the complexion maybe of a Miles Davis, to say that the United States wouldn't have looked at that a little different. I mean, we do live in the United States, and we can't say that fairer skin didn't give more access during that time. So he was a colorist in that way, but you can't say he wasn't a colorist. He wrote about it.
Yes, he wrote about it because the social structure as he did write about it.
Hold on, one mic.
Chris, can I say something real quick?
Yeah,
Can I say this?
Go ahead, bro.
Oh yeah, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
And then go ahead, Logic.
Yeah, my point was short. Like he's saying it in what context to make the man pseudo? Like, get the fuck out of here.
I don't know.
Like there's just not. You know, I'm kind of frustrated because there's just not enough bad to about W.E.B. Du Bois to like try to force this argument on I just, that's the wrong guy. You know what I'm saying? That would just be the wrong person.
But you know that's his opinion. Hold on. But you know he's not giving evidence though. That's just his opinion. That's his opinion. Somebody, remember, I just argued Booker T. Washington. I just argued for Du Bois against Du Bois against Chef with Booker T. Washington. This is our opinion. There's two different social.
Yeah, you're right. I don't want to take over the conversation. I just might be frustrated for no reason. But while Chris is here, right? Like we could be like I actually think that that'd be a good conversation talking to him about the Afrocentrics. We got him to show up, so we could actually have a conversation with him. We talking about Michael Jordan's jump shot as if Michael Jordan said.
He don't know what you mean when you say that. I'm sure of it.
You say he
Yeah,
doesn't.
I really don't. You say when I hear you say you finally
like
got me
people
here.
been around, yeah, he has no idea
Well,
what you're talking about.
what I mean by that is like, so we got another person who understands a lot of the topics, and he's actually like familiar with a lot of the elders. And the one elder we shouldn't be talking about, we talking about, right? So we could be having a conversation with Chris about some of the stuff that we didn't already built on, and we're like opening up a door that shouldn't even be open.
No, that's cool.
That could just be
let
my
me say
opinion.
this. Let me say this.
Get this thing off about the
let me say this first of all. Oh, well, let me say this first. First,
you hear you. What I'm saying is what you talk. Change the conversation. What you talk.
Okay, yeah, I kind of like forgot my train of thought, but let me see if I can remember here about W.E. Du Bois. Yes, he did talk about the advantages of lighter skin, but he did not promote lighter skin over lighter skin blacks over darker skin blacks. He did not do that.
important
just
thing.
stop you, even though y'all having a conversation.
Yeah, don't worry about stopping me. Tell me to shut
All
my
right.
ass up. Is the
Okay.
audio back in the chat? Let me know. Go ahead, y'all talk.
Here's the point
Yeah,
I'm
back
making.
up. It's back.
I'm not saying I don't think you have to agree, but all of us in our life have put something on our resume to get to somewhere where we need to go. That is not something
I
unique.
never done that in my life ever.
Okay. Well, you haven't done that, but I would think that may be a common practice among some people or in certain circles to do so. So man, right to me that's not true. I can't
Have you
fault
read
him.
Dr. Ben's resume?
What, but once again, bro, I'm just speaking hypothetically because I never read the man's resume. A lot of the text you're talking about, I've never read, so I can't comment on that. I'm just saying if you're accusing the man of something along those lines, and if he did that, I can't fault him for doing it. I don't know what the accusation is. No one has brought up any documents to show me exactly what the accusation is. So I'm just speaking hypothetically about I have people say he
No, he
said it.
just wasn't a doctor. There's no accusation. It's just factual. He wasn't a doctor. He taught and led
He was a
courses
doctor. He
at
wasn't.
schools that didn't exist. He was
Okay,
a
bro.
member or president of UNESCO, and UNESCO has no record of it. It's just all kinds of fallacies all up and down the conversation. So
Okay, I'm gonna.
these aren't, that's why I don't like to even include him. The only reason he gets included is because Brother Reggie and they stand on the shoulders of Dr. Ben.
I heard Dr. Ben
The
name
Black
from the
Men of the
last two people
Nile
that
is not
spoke.
considered an academic book. It's considered a social and cultural history piece. He got some stuff right, but he was talking about the dates. Some of the dates in there, we say that he didn't have access to it, but he did. He was making
Okay,
mistakes in the book that just didn't make sense.
okay.
So it's
I'm
like,
gonna.
it's not, I don't even like talking about him because I think he should be almost in his own class. Because the lying, the scamming, and the grifting he was doing was hilarious.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stand down on this because I really didn't do any studying to be able to comment on it. If someone wants to bring forth a presentation and explain it to me better, then I could comment. But I can't comment on what I don't know.
Okay.
I can't say you're right or read it because people say all sorts of things.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna look into myself for what
Google is free, right? All we gotta do is look up people in the 50s, 40s, 60s. You can find black scholars, plenty of black people that didn't lie, that didn't scam their way. Only in the conscious community, these names that y'all keep naming stay alive. That's it. Only here.
said I'm not agreeing or disagreeing.
Joey, he's not talking
No,
to you.
that wasn't to you. That was not to you, Joey. That was not
You're
to
just
you.
fucking lying. So real quick, with Benjamin, false claims of degrees. Ben Jocannon repeatedly stated he held advanced degrees from Cambridge and University of Barcelona. Those universities confirmed that he never attended those schools. He reportedly used these inflated credentials to gain access and credibility, admitting that he used them tactically later. He claimed Aristotle visited the Library of Alexandria. The library was built after Aristotle was dead. He confused Cleopatra VII with a fictional Cleopatra VIII and linked her to plots including Caesar, Julius Caesar. He posted that real Jews were African and that contemporary Jews were imposters. That's anti-Semitism. With these ideas, so I'm sure there's more. There's things about his birth. There's things about him being an atheist. There's things about him being a Muslim. When you say these things and you promote these people, you can look at the good that they did, right? And one thing I don't want to do, shouts to hits. If these people are near and dear to you, then nothing I say of my opinion of them should affect you or your feeling on them. So I'm not trying to destroy them.
I'm not trying to convince nobody. I'm just giving my opinion.
But do you see why this can be considered? See why this can be considered rage bait? Because there are white Eurocentrists who lied on their resumes. There are white Eurocentrists who have lied
and they
on.
get thrown out the same way.
I fully agree. Fully agree.
But what I'm saying
but
up
I
there
don't
saying
agree
is,
with the rage bait. I don't agree with rage bait, but I agree with that.
Yeah, but what I'm saying here, as someone who's educated, is yes, I do agree that he's lied on his resume, but did what he said hurt you, or did it enhance you and convince you to further your study? Why would you study African history and then go back to the man that, let me finish.
Okay,
why would you further your study because of Dr. Ben Yahakanan, further your study because of him, and then turn right back around and tear him down? He told us to forward his study. I don't get it. Hey, so let's go tear down the person who inspired us to. I don't think I know. I don't deal with I think. That's Christian shit. I don't do that, bro.
I was gonna
you know that.
No, I was gonna ask you a question, but I wasn't saying you think. I was gonna ask you a question, but go ahead.
Think and believe. Yeah, think and believe. You know, that can, Okay, so that's what I'm saying. If a man inspired you to study, why turn around and then tear down the person that inspired you? Hey, man, I'm forwarding Dr. Walter Williams' book, The Origins of Christianity. Yes, I can see he got some things wrong in there, right? But I'm not going to sit here and tear him down, right? That's why we got brains. We help forward their scholarship. We enhance it. This is what he got wrong, okay? But this is where I'm making the correction at here. Write a paper, have it peer reviewed. That's all I say. Talking on YouTube is just for fun. Let's do some of the hard work.
So
what makes sense, but guess what? People don't do
out here in Florida. Say what?
We can't really hear you, Joey.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, what you're saying is correct, but people on YouTube have clickbait. Some of them can't write, some of them can barely read. And when you read them an academic article, they don't understand what the fuck you're saying. So while what you're saying is right, these people on YouTube are to trick you because they think you don't know what the fuck is going on. Because when they're reading, they think you can't understand what they're reading. And you don't know how to go and pick up a book and read it and come back and tell them what you just said was a bag of bullshit. Therein lies the problem. Education is not the goal on YouTube. Clicks is the goal on YouTube. So sometimes,
because
everybody's not for education. They would say that. When you hear them talk, you know they're just looking for money and they're grifting. All of us know that. We know bullshit when we hear it. We are black people. And we've been around bullshit as forever. So we know when shit just don't sound right. It don't feel right and it don't sound right. We know that. So you can't put your level.
So these people can take a non-academic approach and they falsify resumes and did all this shit to get these jobs. Now we got to come behind them and do, man, that shit sounds crazy to me, man. What the fuck?
So
that's crazy. Like we can't sit talk about them and be now we got to go write papers and do all this shit, man. And they was in academia and stuff, man. Come on.
So your credibility in academia is your currency. And when this is when Benjamin is the person who is, you're supposed to take his work and further it. No issue with that. Right, some, but not enough to argue it. But if he's at Cornell, if Dr. James Turner brings him to Cornell to teach and be a guest lecturer, you have to start expecting accuracy. And I have no issue, Chris, with marking him as cultural, marking him as a historical figure, and tearing down. That's what I say. I don't. When you critique somebody's legacy and look for accuracy when they're calling themselves a doctor, I don't think that's tearing down. I think that's setting a standard. I think is this person is the doctor. This person is speaking for trying to get you into more of an African-centered mind. The standard. I don't think I'm holding a high standard for somebody that calls themselves a doctor. So when you say that you're Dr. Ben, but you're not Dr. Ben, if we start right there, they were calling him Dr. Ben before he taught at Cornell, before all of these honorary degrees. And a lot of the people that were calling him Dr. Ben didn't know that he wasn't credible. He wasn't in the academic sense of the word, where credibility is currency, he wasn't that. Part two, I guess if you're saying we're critiquing his legacy as tearing him down, if you want to follow Dr. Ben and his teachings and this, that, and the other, that's cool. But most times we don't talk about it until I start hearing people say things like, what was wrong with Black Man of the Nile? They don't know that some of that stuff is inaccurate. And I know we give them the credit of looking stuff up, Chris, But you, Chris, you said you're degree. Well, even you would understand that most people are just unscientific and will accept whatever's put in front of them without any research. And then when you do that, and nobody takes the stance to say some of this shit is incorrect, and at least say that this is incorrect, and they're saying it's okay to do your resume. Some people think that in 2025, and white people did it, cool. But we're just taking the stance of this is what he got wrong.
Well, let's look at it like this. Let's look at it like this, bro. Let's look at it like this. Let me put my seatbelt on before I crash, get a ticket.
Yeah, and
All right, check
please
it out.
don't crash. I don't want to be the podcast where you crash.
Yeah, which makes absolutely no sense. How can you crash just because you ain't got your seatbelt on? Listen to this. Listen to what I'm saying.
Go ahead.
I want to make an example of somebody that was on the panel. Somebody said he just made the talented 10th up. But had you studied his works of Soul of Black Folk, had you studied the socio-political arena at that time, you would have known the talented 10th wasn't even made up by W.E. Du Bois, right? Or Du Bois, right? You would have known that. Right. So when I say tearing somebody down and I hear somebody on here making these statements that they're making, and I ask a question, have you ever read this book? I'm giving you a chance to say yes or no so I can know how to address you. Because you're speaking as if you know, and sometimes people have not read the work. Nobody's ever heard me on other people's platforms, right? And somebody asked me a question, hey, Chris, what about E1, B1, B, blah, 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 and all that other genetic stuff, right? I'm like, oh, man, I stay out of those conversations. I'm not too familiar with those. I don't tether onto the conversation and try to insert my opinion into those things because it makes you look like an ass. It makes you look stupid.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if I look at Dr. Ben's work and I know he got some things wrong. Right? I could look at D.M. Murdoch. I could see she got some things wrong, but it doesn't mean that the works aren't excellent. You see what I'm saying? Whenever you read a book, everybody knows you start the book at the beginning, which is the introduction. You know what I'm saying? It's like when Israelites was saying something about I can't even remember this guy's name all of a sudden. It was a book by let me just say it. They were always quoting this author, trying to say that he proved Israelites were in Egypt. I said, all you got to do is read the introduction. He said the Hyksos were not Israelites, but you would have known that if you would have just read the introduction to his book. Some people don't read the first 3 chapters of a book, which is primarily the methodology on how they come up with the conclusions, probably in the later chapters. Because most people don't know how a book is written or the criteria that must be met for a book to be published and for a book to even be written in the first place. You understand what I'm saying? Listen, I'm with you on this. We got to stop half-assing shit. If we're going to be part of this community, we got to just stop half-assing, period. Right? Too many times we just want to take this half-ass road and begin to talk. Right? I'm not really with that. So I'll try to say, have you read it? If you haven't read it, then you really don't know. You just making an opinion on something. And then it becomes an argument and the trolling starts. And that's where the conversations always go left. But they don't never go the right way. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a nigga on YouTube.
No, you're pretty.
Read the book.
I will tell you got some academic. I don't agree you should read the book. We disagree there, but that's another conversation. But wait
a minute, you shouldn't read the book.
No, listen, we disagree, but I don't want to go down that road because we ain't got enough time. And hopefully, Chris, we'll have you back more as a because I mean you're definitely one of the thought leaders in the community. We'd actually like to have you back to talk to you specifically about some topics if you don't mind. But in regards to
but Chef know why I'm coming after him right now. Well, I don't know why he adding on this Discord here. I'm coming after Chef. He knows it's
him. Chef cut the hair. Sometimes he be selectively cutting the hair when he don't feel like getting into it. But my thing is, Chris, my thing when we say the half-ass, we agree on that, pause. But this is why I say I kind of want things that are cultural in this particular community to be labeled as culture. You say it's excellent. Now, this is where I say it's excellent. It's excellent as because I agree them trying to make African fight Eurocentrism and correct the mistakes and make things more African centered. But I think it has cultural impact fully based on the times. That's where culture, I think you can use the times. I don't think scholarly should ever be adjusted because of the time. because he can most certainly have huge cultural impact and be in the wording and the writing and the feeling and the mood based on culture could be that. On top of that, if you're saying I'm using plain language and I'm using because I know who I'm talking to, I'm speaking to a specific group, and that's why I'm using this language, and it's the corrective push of Eurocentrism, cool. But my issue, Chris, is when we start saying that these works are scholarly and academic, and they're not. And they do get some things right. But the things that they get wrong, when you're making unsupported claims, when you're just making simple factual errors like the Library of Alexandria, I don't know, I'm pretty sure you know a lot about the book process. These books, the book could be done 1 year and it might not get put out, just do vetting and checking this and seeing if they could say this and copyright, all these different things. So if you're putting out books that got unsupported claims, haven't been fully vetted, have factual errors, you're saying you're a doctor and you're not. And we all know that you can use the doc. There's a reason why people put the doctor in front of their name when they're not, because it gives the book some kind of false kind of credibility. And then when you somehow mix in history with the culture and the politics and calling it an academic book, just call it a cultural book. And then we good. But if you saying that this is academics and this is an academic scholarly book and you need to read it, I just don't agree. And that's where I fight. So
Brother, this ain't bad. I'm sorry, this ain't Back to the Future. You're arguing in a modern sense. You're arguing in a modern sense. We can't, but we can't argue in a modern sense, based on the way, and try to critique things in a modern sense, which, like in 1960, 1970, that was accepted. 1980 to 1985, certain things were set, were the standard at the time. The standard is always raised. Scholarly wise. The standard is always raised. Different form, hold on. I don't disagree. I do disagree with what you're saying. Different standards are accepted at different times. That's just simple. If anybody's been to school, you know that, right? Like, let's say, for instance, even in forms of writing and technology, right? Like, say, for instance, United States government and their cybersecurity teams are saying, look, C++ is outdated. Right? They're saying it's outdated. We need to get something else here. Right? Too many times it's been hacked. You understand what I'm saying? The standard is changing. Same thing with education. The standard is changing. So, I mean, we can agree to disagree on here, you know what I'm saying, peacefully. You know what I'm saying? But we need to start doing is opening up these books. Yeah. What we need to start doing is opening up these books. And that way everybody can be held responsible for comprehending what's read versus what's being said. I'm not always trying to comprehend what you're saying, right? Respectfully, I want to see are you comprehending what you're reading? You know what I'm saying? That's when the conversation get real serious. Okay, today we're dealing with this book by Naeem Akbar. Everybody need to be reading this book so we can go into it and then start vetting this book, and we can start talking about what he got wrong versus what he got right.
He did that.
Black scholarship. I don't do that.
But do you know?
We read everything, but we read some of their stuff while we were determining some of these things. So we didn't just make up these things. Like we read over some of Naeem's stuff. We read Iceman Inheritance Ford, written by John Henry Clark. We read some of their stuff on the chat in the group.
Yeah, this isn't everybody that hasn't read it. And then the second time, what I meant by there was never a time where when I say scholarly. Now, if we're saying in the Afrocentric publishing circles, it doesn't have to be scholarly. If that's what we're saying, then I'll agree. But if you're putting out an academic,
I heard y'all say Dr. Cress Welsing was a pseudo yesterday. Her works are vetted on college campuses. Her works are vetted on college campuses.
Where's that?
She's a pseudo.
Okay, why is she a pseudo?
She's a pseudo.
I mean, show us
social and cultural theory as science.
On college campuses. I want to see that.
And
too many people are talking over one another here.
Go ahead, sir.
I want to be able to hear one at a time. Go ahead.
I want to show where he said it's being vetted on campuses, because he found letters of people writing to.
Oh yeah, I got the JSTOR article.
Yeah, cool. I got the
JSTOR. I got the article.
I'm not saying it don't
exist.
Here. I was going to add what.
It don't.
I didn't say it don't exist. I'm saying I was going to add before you jumped in that we found letters from different people writing to Howard because they didn't offer her a chair for tenure, calling them Negro lackeys. Like, we've seen her be rejected by academia as well as since you're saying she's been accepted. So that's why I say.
And I don't know what JSTOR has to do with this. JSTOR has nothing to do with
because JSTOR. No. The reason why is, if anybody's been to college, you know that if you enter in your www.edu.org in the college that you graduated from, you have JSTOR, and you can go in there and pull articles.
JSTOR isn't a certification system. It's just an archive.
I didn't say
it's an archive.
We know it's an archive. Yes, I do know it's an archive.
Wait.
But you have professors. You have professors. Hold on. You're talking over me while I was speaking, bro.
No. I want to get
JSTOR has articles. They have but they have articles from college professors that cite her works. That's what I was telling you.
Yeah, that's
peer-reviewed
fine.
articles.
It's JSTOR stands for journal storage. Like, they store.
Yeah, I know that.
No, but saying that it's
I know that.
saying that professors cite her.
Buzzwords, guys.
No. Listen, saying that professors cite her doesn't mean that they citing her for peer-reviewed work. It just means they cited her work. It doesn't. JSTOR.
No, I have peer-reviewed work that I have peer-reviewed work.
She doesn't.
From professors. No. I have peer-reviewed work from professors in colleges that agree with her work.
So this still don't mean it's peer-reviewed.
Okay, but you're trying to speak as if it don't exist. It does.
No, I didn't know. I'm not. No. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm not saying you don't have what you have. But when we're making the claim that her work is not peer-reviewed, it didn't go through any academic rigor. She's a psychiatrist pushing biology and genetics on an entire race of people as inferiority or superiority, and then your response is, well, it's in JSTOR. Well, there's a lot of pseudoscience in JSTOR. Well, a professor cited it. He cited it. He might have been telling people this is what you're not supposed to do. And if he wants to,
that's not what I said. No, don't do that. That's not what I said. The professor I told you that professor from Michigan State University is agreeing with her works. And I can sit up there and I can get right up there and I can cite the source, a peer-reviewed professor that's going to sit up there and say he agrees with her work.
So does it make
so you can't sit up there and say what I'm saying with your buzzwords and context clues.
So when a
never submitted her work for peer
that school you named is a terrible school, but the professor that you named that is the peer-reviewed professor that cited her work. Now, here's my question to you: does it make her work peer-reviewed and scientific? Does it change her work somehow? Because a peer-reviewed professor cited it?
Her work was never submitted for peer review. Just because somebody cited
so I don't know why you're saying, I don't get the professor peer. Okay, he pulled it from JSTOR and he's peer-reviewed. But the work he pulled wasn't.
Russell American's work. Here.
American? Okay, go ahead.
I don't know. Did you hear what we said? No.
No, I'm in the what's it called? I'm in the store. Right
no. I got you. Sound like you were breaking up. It's cool. What's his name?
Okay, thank you.
Russell what?
Russell Gemerkin's work. Russell Gemerkin. He just died, right?
Yeah, Gemerkin.
He spelled his last name.
Gemerkin.
K-I-N, I think.
He wrote Barosius, Plato, and he wrote Barosius, Plato, and the Exodus. He wrote those books, right? He wrote Israelite religions and their origins. Most peer-reviewed scholars, they did not. His works was not peer-reviewed because he was self-taught, right? He was self-taught. He had been to school, but he was self-taught. He was not in the field. He was not considered an expert in the field. But now they all agree, and they were all saying, "Yo, he got a lot right based on his own theories." And then they started reviewing his works, and they're saying, "Yo, he got a lot right here." So just because you don't submit your works, your journal, or your work into a peer review doesn't mean that it can't be peer reviewed in the future. Now, we know he just died, if anybody's familiar with it, but his works are now being peer reviewed. And a lot of the top people are saying, yo, he got a lot right. This is amazing looking at his work. So we got to stop that. It ain't like her work can't be resubmitted into the field of peer review to be reviewed.
We can only deal
I don't get this argument.
We can only deal.
What was pseudo about Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's work?
Hold on. No. I want to stay right here. No, I want to stay right here. I don't want to go backwards. I want to stay right here. We're not saying that it can't be. Well, I am. I'm saying that the all statement.
You said a lot.
There's no way with this blanket thing that she does with the melanin theory, the biologic. We know that her biology and her genetics were incorrect. So it can't be peer. We know that her work can't be peer reviewed. So to say that somehow now her work, the work that she submitted, not revisions, to say that somehow now Welsing's theories could be submitted now as if the biology and genetics changed, that they found some gene, some white genetic annihilation, that it could now be peer reviewed as false. But here's another thing. I'm glad you brought up Gemerkin. So this is what I was trying to say. Citation doesn't mean validation. It's not an endorsement. They could be doing it to critique. They could be doing it to show an example of a belief or social movement, or to document the historical existence of an idea. Now, Gemerkin. Gemerkin is known for biblical scholarship, especially on the Dead Sea Scrolls and Plato's influence on the Bible. Exactly what you said. It says he likely, I don't know, I want to see exactly how he cited her, but he likely cited her in socio-cultural or ideological context, not proof that her theory is scientifically sound. So if he did cite her that her theory was scientifically sound, he'd be wrong. He'd be a pseudo. And then his field is not even what she was talking about. Dermatology, genetics, or neuroscience.
I'm sorry. No, I never. Hold on. You're kind of, this is a technique called spreading. I'm not saying that his field was her field. I was speaking in the sense of
nigga, you gay.
Who posted? Who said that? Go ahead, keep going.
Put on it, for real.
Something I said must have been pause worthy. Just finish. We get childish.
He said spreading, so he thought it was a pause. So
shit.
Yeah, we do have children in here, Chris. It's not. Just go ahead.
Yeah. So what I'm sitting up there saying is, nobody wanted to accept Russell Gemerkin's work. Everybody was saying no at the beginning. But then as they begin to review his works more and more, a lot of his theories became more and widely accepted, right? Like now he was working off of that's irrelevant, right? That's irrelevant. The JDE in this conversation. I just want to know let's just get down to the bottom of it. What would be deemed pseudo in her works, as I stated before, so I can look over this and vet this? What would be deemed pseudo? Can anybody give me a chapter to read in any of her work that would be deemed pseudo?
I don't have to give a chapter. This is her melanin theory. The melanin theory.
Her melanin theory.
Pseudo. The melanin theory is.
What is her melanin theory?
Hold on, let me. You know the melanin theory, Chris. Don't do that, Chris. Come on. You wouldn't even be having a conversation if you didn't know the melanin. No, Chris. Don't do that. I'm gonna no, Chris. Don't do that. We all know what it is. Because see, now you're forcing me to. I'm gonna say this to you, and you'll see if I understand it. She was making cultural statements about melanin. She was making social these were culture theories, political theories, and then she promoted them as science. She promoted them as a biological, genetic, white genetic annihilation, the penis envy, the homosexuality, this and other.
Yeah, I remember those. I remember that.
Hold on. Okay, so stay right here.
I'm agreeing with you.
No. I'm not saying you disagree. You asked me where the pseudo was. When you take something that's not scientific but promote it as science, that's pseudoscience. Now here's the second part. She did you're educated. So she also did the cross domain. Now we all know psychiatry is interdisciplinary, but she wasn't qualified to be discussing biology and genetics in the way that she was discussing it. Where we have the issue with Cress Welsing, let me be quick, is that she didn't submit this to APA, AB. She didn't commit it that way. She didn't do the DSM. She didn't want to meet any of the criteria. Cool. But when you go to unscientific people and start presenting it as science and using the doctor in your name, the people that's listening to you don't know that this is doctor of psychiatry. They're looking at these unscientific people are looking at the doctor in her Frances Cress Welsing as if she's presenting something scientific. Wait a minute. And then they go further and spread this as something that's scientific. And this is how we end up with Umar Johnson. and Polite.
Oh God.
And Tariq
Oh
Nasheed.
my
Talking
God.
about yes.
Oh
I'm
my
not
God.
yes.
That's
No,
listen,
wait.
listen,
Chris, don't cut me off. Chris,
I
don't cut me
figured you
off.
would spread
Chris,
like that. I'm not cutting you off, but
don't
you're
cut me
spreading
off. You
now.
are cutting me off. Give me 1 second. I'm not saying that they knew Frances Cress Wilson. I'm not saying that she did it to create a Umar Johnson. I'm saying that unknowingly or knowingly, they took her theories in 2000s and 2025 and are pushing it on more unscientific people. They're weaponizing an incorrect message, and nobody is saying that it's incorrect. Because you know it's funny, Chris, you cool with right? You're saying that she's not pseudo. Unc immediately when we was having these conversations, I'm gonna speak French to you. He said, "Fuck that lady. We don't even look at her as credible as far and what she was talking about." He said, "I don't even know what it is. Y'all
They
the
said
ones
we don't
this
teach
shit."
that.
He said, "We don't even teach this shit." So explain to me how y'all two on both ends of the spectrum, thought leaders in the conscious community, are saying you're saying that you don't even think she's pseudo, but one guy on the other end is telling us, "Oh well, she's most certainly her work is pseudo, but I understand it because of the times, and she had to be pseudo and she had to be racist because they were doing that with her." Now, when you say that we're missing the point. How did you and Chris? Okay, the chat didn't drop off, Sid, and we and you. Now you see where we're going. Now you gave me a perfect example as to why I don't know if we're the ones that screwed up or if it's y'all. Because now thinks she's pseudo, you think she ain't, and you intelligent. So you think the melanin? You don't even know what was pseudo about her.
I'm trying to figure out how you missed that she was sitting here putting a genetic disposition on these folks.
I told y'all that'd be a much better conversation.
Like,
and you were right. You were definitely right.
Well, I'll tell you what.
These people have something
I'll tell you what.
with them. Like, come on, bro. Like, that's crazy. You can't make that.
He dropped back on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I'm here. I'm here. I had a phone call that came through.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Hey, Chris, would you consider her among the best of our scholars?
Say what?
Hold on, let him get his point out. He was just watching.
You say your point first. So
I'll answer that question. Yes. Because at that time, people of dark pigmentation were taught to be thought of as less. So she created a science that said we were more than less. We were better than less. So I gotta keep on saying, a lot of you guys don't understand the social, political.
Did you just say she
created the science? I'm out of it.
If she's in a,
all right, go ahead, Elijah.
No, I mean that was the question. He said yes. She would be among the best of us, among the best representation.
So yeah, she's a great representation for us. Yes. Yes. They taught that people with dark skin were stupid and inferior. She was telling you that she wasn't. Do you have a problem with that?
I didn't say no. I didn't say
to the person that said, interesting.
Yeah, she was a great representation.
No. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the person that said interesting. Are you saying that when scientists were teaching? Okay, you guys talk when the other person is talking. Go ahead. I'll let you finish. I can wait.
I just said yes. I do think it was interesting. I didn't want you to think I was being anonymous. Go ahead. Yeah, I think it's interesting.
I just wanted you to finish your thought. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Okay. I don't have a question. I have a statement that I want to make. I don't have a question. I want to make a statement. At the time, as early as in the 80s, they were teaching that black skin was inferior. Not as far as melanin, but people of darker hue, period. Black people, African people were considered inferior. She started creating philosophy saying that melanin makes you more superior. What problem would you have with that? Scientific racism was prevailing since we've came into school, since we've gotten out of slavery. They use scientific racism all over the place. She said, fuck that. So you guys can call her work pseudo now. A lot of people have been to higher levels of education and now feel like you can tear down the very people who helped build you up. But I don't do that.
In reverse,
her theory was that black skin is beautiful. Black people are superior. I have no problem with that, and it's not pseudo. I am superior. You got a problem
Chris,
with that?
So you saying it's okay?
No, Chris, but
If
do you get the logic
you're
of
superior because of if you're superior simply because of your biology, genetics, and melanin, then you're pseudo too. That's why you don't see it. And if you want to be pseudo, that's fine.
Hold on. Thank you.
Pseudo.
Hold on.
And
Look,
why is it okay to promote?
I'll wear that P on my chest. I'll wear that P on my chest.
Yeah, I'm not
And,
gonna say that.
and you know what? Anytime we had a conversation, listen to what I'm saying. Anytime we have the conversation, when people are trying to make these call her pseudo, I'll always remind you of scientific racism that was existing in the 80s when most of us were in the 6th, 5th, 4th, 8th grade. I'll continue to say it. This is when she was on Phil Donahue. She would always contrast her works to the scientific racism that was to our kids at the time, or to us. She would always show it. That's the psychological part of it. And that's why I say a lot of your arguments are out of context every single time. Now, like I said, we got higher levels of education and you want to tear her down. Personally, I think it sounds silly. Because you ignore the context of why she wrote the book in the first place.
Y'all are ignoring it, honestly. Promoting racial stereotypes ain't never the proper response. I don't give a fuck how you do it, what you do.
But hey, thanks for letting me on. I got to get ready to get up out of here.
Hey, we appreciate
y'all.
you,
Thanks for letting me on, y'all. I'll be back and build with y'all later.
Right.
Okay, bro. Peace.
I think the lesson. There's a lesson there. Like I said, as long, yeah. I think that's
pretty much it. It's all reinforcement that it has to be done, right? It all is.
Yeah. Hey, listen. Sears B says the best education is the one you have access to. Afrocentric scholars made education accessible by teaching in the schools and the kids attended, even if they didn't get everything correct. The last sentence is the issue I have. I agree with the entire.
And we're not expecting them to get everything correct. We're not.
I don't
we're
expect
expecting
them
to not make up shit.
Yeah, but don't make up
not
stuff.
Make it up.
It's not. We just not. I see now. I don't even want to talk about this stuff no more. But somehow we always no. Let me finish this. So it says and then keep your thought. Don't lose your thought. I'm in the chat for a second because they are here. He said he's extending an olive branch. Shouts to Sears B. It says, how many classes did Mary Lefkowitz teach to those kids in Harlem? I don't know, but I would assume none. But I would say my retort to you would be, how many credible professors and actual doctors did Dr. James Turner skip to get to Benjamin Youssef to teach to be a guest lecturer and part-time teacher at Cornell University?
And
so I answered your question. None. Now answer my question.
I'm not familiar with
how many did he skip?
But where did Mary Lefkowitz race science? I don't know. I thought she was like a scholar in like Greek, whatever, like Greek history and shit. Like I don't know.
No, I don't know. That's Corey and Shefston. I don't know. I know that I know she sparred with him. I was gonna watch the conversation between Mary Lefkowitz and
Dr. Clark.
Yeah.
I mean, Dr. Clark
I was gonna watch it. No, she talked to Benjamin.
I don't even think he took it serious, but she was kind of like putting a lot of stuff down that's be evident.
Yeah, no, she was talking to Benjamin
I'm still on Dr. Clark's side on that one. I don't care whether I agree with him or not. For the optics, for the most part, Dr. Clark, I don't have a problem with him. Like I don't see him. I was like when we read the Iceman Inheritance, and he said like, "Yeah, I know this shit ain't it." And even though he proceeded to give credence to it, like it let me know that
so you could even say that second part. Said you could even say that second part with a straight face. You said he knew the book was racist
because
I can only take even though he did give credence to it. You don't even be wanting to say it.
I can only take his word for what I read him as, but I don't see Dr. Clark as like on the extreme side as I see like the other ones. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, said, but at the end of the day, him and Dr. Ben started out as self-educated people.
But I don't remember Dr. Clark lying. Dr.
But
Clark
here's
would
what
say
I'm
he
saying.
hosted a UNESCO conference and shit. Like,
Okay,
I mean,
bro. If a man is blatant out and out lying, we could admit that the man was blatant out and out lying and overlook it.
he did it
or
to
we
gain trust, though. I
But
can't,
here's
I
what I'm
can't
saying,
trust you when
though.
you lying to me, bro.
But here's what I'm saying. I, as a black
So
man,
can you answer that question? Can you trust someone that's lying to you?
I'm about to answer your question. Sometimes as black people, when we see black people do shit, we forgive them because they're black, and we think that we owe them that forgiveness, as opposed to someone else who doesn't look like us.
Yes.
I'm not saying that's right or that's wrong, but
Yeah.
that's how it goes sometimes. Because you
I
see
agree.
the other things that they did, and you say, he told a lie here, fuck that. He still allowed us to be able to go to certain universities that we weren't allowed in, to sit down and learn, even though he might have lied his way into it. So I can overlook the lie because now I can go to Cornell and sit down. I can go to Hunter and sit down because he might have told a lie to get
What's
in
the
there. But
importance of sitting down and
Yeah,
letting
but then you
him
look
teach,
at his
though?
work.
Like,
His
why is it
work's
important?
not-
Why is it
Come
important?
on,
that it's him?
Joey.
Why is it
Come
important?
on,
that it's him?
Joey.
All those other
saying
professors
is
at
this.
Cornell.
Come on, Joey.
get
You
degrees the right
you don't
way.
even believe the words that's coming out of your
All
mouth,
those
Joey.
other professors
bro.
at Cornell. I ain't gonna say all because that's
Bro,
a
we
wild,
living in
that's
a
a wild
world.
blanket statement.
Listen.
I'm pretty sure the majority of Cornell staff weren't lying. Like, I mean,
Bro, I am
you
not
can't excuse
arguing.
that.
I am not arguing that. My argument is not whether he lied or not. I'm saying if you find out that he lied and he did, and that lie was worth it because he got to do good, then you have a right to forgive him based on your personal view of that. I can't argue with Brass and say, Brass, you got to forgive him. No. I'm saying if I found out about it, I might be willing to forgive him because he's black. And
Just makes me trust you less.
And I might think, and I might think that he did more good than bad with that one or two lies. That's all I'm saying. I can't tell you that you have to agree with everything he said.
Stay right there, Joey. Stay right there,
You're
Joey.
never
Let me
gonna
ask you a
find
question.
I rock with you, Joey.
Hold on. If it's for short term, if you had Benjamin, I gotta break myself from saying this, but if you had Benjamin come into Cornell University as a guest lecturer or to give a speech, then it's a cultural thing. You could give it or take it. It's self-help, it's motivation. It's speaking to white center scholarship, scientific racism, Eurocentrism at the time. Completely different than bringing a person who lied to get in there. And then when they got in there, because now you're talking about short term and long term. Short term is the speech. I get some short term motivation. He says some shit, made me feel a lot better. Then I can go
for 30 years.
But if you talking about long term, Joe, then Joey, what happens when he's teaching you stuff that is just completely wrong, like just wrong? And then now you don't, your job when you go to a teacher is not to go to them and say, well, now that he taught me all of this, I'm gonna go fact check all of this stuff. No, they check your homework, not the other way around. There's a reason why there's curriculum. That curriculum has to be put forth in front of a group to make sure that this stuff is validated. You don't go there for that. So if you're saying Benjamin's stuff was short term, cool. But what happened in the long term when somebody like a Chris Harris or somebody like an Unc or somebody like a thought leader or anybody that's trying to advance their education and do it the correct way, you find out like, damn, the Library of Alexandria wasn't even built yet. You start finding out.
And where's the cutoff? Where's the line?
Like completely wrong.
You
So hold
lie
on. So now you done lied yourself to get into the school, and then once you got into the school, you got the scholarship wrong. So now it indirectly hurts other African American doctors or black doctors at the time when they trying to get in there and do it correctly. You make everybody look bad.
Now
You got the cutoff. If you don't expect the doctors, hold on, Joey. Don't ask a question for a second. If we don't expect the doctors to be the standard, then who is the standard if it ain't the people with the doctor after? Who in the educational academic community do we hold to any kind of standard? Forget this tearing down legacy. That makes y'all feel good. If we're not, so we don't expect nothing from the doctors that get the doctorate just because they're black and just because of the times.
You lie your way all the way to a heart surgery. Like, what's the cutoff? Like, what do you say? Nah, man, you're going too far with the lying.
Tell the truth?
What's the cutoff? I don't lie your way to be a heart surgeon, bro. Like where do we draw the line at, man? Like, come on, bro. I can't believe we welcoming this shit. This is crazy. Where do we draw the line? He lied to get to his spot because it was tough back then. Where do you draw the line, bro?
Shit is tough now. You know how hard it is to get a doctorate now? You know how hard it is to get a
brain surgery?
Yeah, like the shit is difficult as a human being, black, white, or otherwise. Was it tough then? Yeah, but I could show you doctors that did it and did it the correct way during that time. Stop with this lame ass excuse. Y'all think Afrocentrics is weak? Y'all think that they gotta lie to get shit done? That don't work. We're not talking about Jim Crow Reconstruction. We're talking about a time where there were other doctors. Last sentence, Joey, because you didn't talk when you had your chance. Now I just took it over again. Admittedly, give me 1 second. Y'all talking about a time where people on this panel, grandmothers, had doctorates and worked in the field. What are y'all? This isn't 1780. We're talking about 1960.
But there's no disagreement that it was morally wrong. Some people
but it was intellectually wrong. You won't accept that.
Some people are willing to give him a pass because they think he did more good than bad. Nobody's arguing that.
Hey, Joey, what's your social number? What's your social security number, fam?
What's that about?
Never mind, bro. It don't even matter. I was trying to make a joke. It didn't work.
No. But here's what I'm saying. I understand, Brass, that you have a right to be morally outraged about these things, but you know what?
No, academically outraged.
No, I agree
that he went to Cornell University teaching students that teaching shit about the library to make an Afrocentric point. And I don't know if he did it because he was uneducated to it, but he was teaching from Afrocentrism and getting the shit wrong.
Dr. Umar. Matter of fact, Dr. Umar could have passed for me now.
How much
you keep saying morals. I'm talking about academics.
How much harm has he done as opposed to good with all the mistakes that he has made?
I don't know. That's an indefensible answer. I don't know.
We look back at his literature, it rarely checks out.
I don't know.
But
I don't know how much bad he did, bro.
That is the question.
And you don't know how much good he did either.
But that is a
hey, I'm with Said Breeze, nigga. Oh, Umar get the pass now, yo.
Umar get
this
the pass,
nigga got
man.
motherfucking doctor, yo.
All I'm gonna say is in 15, 20 years from now, I'm gonna say it was the times. That's all I'm gonna say.
It was the times. Yeah, it was the times, nigga. Yeah, that's what it was.
30 years when we look back and niggas be like, man, Umar, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, man, it was the times, fam. It was 30 years ago.
And he keeps saying, you notice Joey keeps saying morally. You just skipping the academics, bro. You're skipping his credentials and his academics. And I told you, in academia, credibility is your currency. It's your credibility. It's not just so we can't just look past, oh, well, morally he just lied. Your credibility is your currency too. So you can't just say this isn't like, and the funny thing is, I know when y'all saying this, y'all just focused on the intention. His intention was to uplift. Cool. He was reclaiming African heritage. Cool. And that's what you could celebrate him for. But goddamn, you just skipping the execution? You can have the greatest intent. Where Corey at? The road to hell is paved with great intentions. He's throwing in conspiracies, false credentials. Like, it ain't like he just lied about one thing. There are people that don't even know where he was born based off what the fuck he was saying. He was lying from birth.
All right, okay. But once again,
go ahead and defend it.
His credibility, I'm not defending if he did it, he did it. It's up to you to be
So what are you defending? What is your argument?
I'm not defending anything.
So I make sure we even talk about it.
I'm simply saying it has not seemed to damage his academic credibility with anybody up until this day. If it has damaged his academic credibility.
And Chris Harris is smart. Did you hear him say that Francis Cress Wilson wasn't pseudo? Did you hear him say that?
Listen, I can't.
No, I'm asking you. I'm just asking, did you hear him say that?
I did hear him say that.
He's the first person I've ever heard say that Francis Cress Wilson wasn't pseudo.
Well, I can't say if she was or wasn't because I'm not familiar with the works. But if she's going to say something like black is beautiful and I think black people are superior, I can agree with that. It doesn't have to be an academic observation.
If she's making it if she's telling black people scientifically that black people are superior, there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, there is a level of biological truth to
Okay,
that.
hey, this was a good show. I love y'all guys, bro. I don't have the patience nor the time to go any further with that. Hey, I love
Oh
y'all.
Hey, we gotta
shit,
put a
Joey.
fork in
Say
it.
it ain't so.